If you want some coins for the new Road to the Final promo, check out MMOXP.com. Their link is down in the description. They're very fast, they're very cheap, they're very reliable, and if you use my code Rema, you can get 5% off your order. This supports the channel greatly, and I do very much appreciate it. So what's up guys, my name's Ash, and welcome back to a brand new video. In today's video guys, I've got some custom tactics and player instructions for the 4-2-2 formation, which is one of the best direct formations in the game. I really do like this formation, especially at the moment. But just before we get into today's video guys, I'd very much appreciate it if you could drop it a thumbs up, as that does really help with the YouTube search algorithm. Also subscribe to the channel if you are new so you never miss out on any videos like this one, and don't forget to turn on notifications so you are notified when a video is posted. And with all that aside guys, let's get right into today's video. Okay guys, so starting off with the defensive style, I like to use balance. This is because it gives you the greatest control over your defense, where you're able to press when you need to press, and you're able to drop off and be a little bit more conservative when you need to be. So it does give you the very much needed balance against those top end players. That being said, if you feel more comfortable using pressure tactics, then go right ahead. Now moving on to the defensive width guys, I have this on 47. This is just so we're slightly more narrow than the default setting. The reason for this is a lot of people play through the middle in FIFA 23. That is the danger area, so it's important that we are congested and compact in that middle area, but at the same time we have the natural width to cover the wings to prevent people just running down the wing. So it is a very nice balance, and I do like having my width on that with this formation. Now moving on to the depth guys, I currently have this on 60. The reason for this is we're not constantly getting pinned back because our defensive line won't be too deep, and at the same time we're not constantly getting through-balled either because our defensive line isn't super high at like 72. So 60 has been a really good balance with this formation for me. You can get away with a slightly higher depth because you have more defensive players, I've noticed, so I've been really liking 60 with this 4-2-2. Now moving on to build-up play guys, I suggest using balance. The reason for this is it suits you up for all the different types of FIFA 23 gameplay you might experience, whether it is fast gameplay, slow gameplay, fast but laggy gameplay. You've all seen so many different types of gameplays, it's ridiculous. We have to consider that, but honestly balanced will make the game more consistent for you on a daily basis. Fast build-up's decent when the gameplay is good, but it rarely is, so balanced is the way to go, unfortunately. Now moving on to chance creation guys, I suggest using direct passing. The reason we use direct passing is if you look at the diagram in the bottom right hand corner of the screen, you can see the white dots, which are your attackers. They're constantly moving around to break through that defensive line. If you look at something like balance, this really doesn't happen, so it's important that we use direct passing to really create those chances. I have been trying experimenting around with forward runs, and I do quite like it, but the problem I have with forward runs is when you lose the ball you seem very vulnerable to counter attacks. So you can use it if you like, but I do very much suggest using direct passing. Now moving on to the attacking width guys, I have this on 37. This is because the 4-2-2 is a narrow formation, so we don't want to try and make it something it's not by having the width super high. If we have the width too high, it will play out like a 4-2-4, which is not what this formation is, so I suggest lowering the width as it makes it play better in that narrow style. And when we do need extra width, I'll show you what we do in the player instructions. As for players in box, I have this on 6, so we do get we do create as many chances as we can, but at the same time we're not overcommitting the entire team to the point where we get counter attacked if we lose the ball. As for corners and free kicks, I have these both on 1 because I don't actually cross the ball from set pieces. I have a corner glitch that I found that you guys can check out in the top right hand corner of the screen if you like, and yeah, that is how I take my corners and free kicks. Now for the players you want to use guys, in the 2 striker positions, I suggest going for a bit of a balance between the 2, where you have more of a poacher striker in one of the positions and then more of a creator in the other. So I'm going for Robbie Keane, who is like a more clinical finisher, and then Jairzinho, who can offer a bit more creative support. So I do like having that dynamic between the 2 strikers. That being said, if you just want to use 2 out and out finishers or 2 creative players because that's what you feel more comfortable with, then go right ahead. Now for both cams, the Ram and the Lamb, I suggest using winger style players, players that are quick, players that can dribble. If you can get 5-star skills, that's an added bonus, but you're going to need those really good agile creative players in these positions. If you don't use the correct cams, you will struggle a little bit with this formation because these are your main playmakers, so make sure your cams are as good as you can possibly get them. Now in the left CDM spot, I suggest a more defensive midfielder, somebody with a medium high work rate, so you get the maximum contribution in the defense and they're not too bothered about attack. But the most important thing is that they have very good defensive stats. You don't need to worry about their attacking stats as they're not really going to be going forward. So just use a nice, quick, strong defensive player in this position. Now in the right CDM spot, I suggest using more of a box-to-box style player. So I'm using the flashback Paul Pogba. This is somebody that's going to be able to attack and defend for you, and it's really going to help the transitional play from defense to attack. If you can get it, a high work rate is super useful, but just make sure that this player is very well balanced so they can do a bit of everything. Now in the two fullback positions, I suggest going for a bit of a balance between the two. I have Malacia, who is more attacking minded, somebody that is a bit more technical on the ball, and then I have Cafu, who is a bit more defensively solid. So I like to have a bit of a balance between the two fullbacks. That being said, if you want to use two attacking fullbacks or two defensive fullbacks, that is completely up to you. As for the centre backs and the goalkeeper, these just need to be as good as you can possibly get them. The player instructions: on the left striker, the player that is my more finisher striker, we have stay central, get in behind and come back on defence. We have him on stay central because we don't want him drifting off to the wide areas. We already have the cams for that, so we don't need him to do that. We need him to stay central so he's always in the correct positions. We have him on getting behind because as the finisher, we do want him to be making those runs to get as many chances as he possibly can. And then we also have come back on defence. This isn't a defensive move, it's genuinely so it can actually help the attack, believe it or not. If you have them on basic defensive support, sometimes they feel very disconnected from the rest of the team, so it can actually be very difficult to kickstart attacks. But when you put them on come back on defence, they come back a little bit deeper, so when we win the ball back, it really helps our build-up play. So it does work if you guys want to try it, but if you feel more comfortable with basic defensive support, then go right ahead. Now on the right striker, my more creative striker, I have stay central, mixed attack and come back on defence. We have him on stay central again for the same reason. We don't need him drifting off to the wide areas. We have him on mixed attack because we don't just want this player running in behind. Sometimes we want him to sit a little bit deeper so we can actually assist and create for the other striker that is running in behind. So Keane could be running in behind, Jairzinho could be sitting a little bit deeper, and we could play a through ball, something like that. So I do like having mixed attack on my more creative player. And again, we have come back on defense, so when we do lose the ball, they come back a little bit, and then if we win it back, they're more connected to the rest of the team, and building up the play is a little bit easier. Now for both cams, guys, I have come back on defense and get into the box for cross. We have get into the box for cross because if you have them on balance crossing runs, sometimes they're almost like passengers when you are attacking. They'll just sit and watch everyone else that is attacking, and they won't really get involved in the penalty area. So by putting them on get into the box for cross, they make those transitional runs to get into the penalty area so they can get as involved as possible. Doesn't mean you have to cross the ball to them, it just means they are getting more involved and they're getting into those areas. Again, we have these on comeback on defense because then it will be a little bit more defensively solid. If we have them on basic defensive support, sometimes they don't really sit in the correct positions when we're defending, so by putting them on comeback on defense, it makes it defend like a 4-4-2 instead of a 4-2-4, if that makes sense. So I found it better for like the overall positions of these players, and when you win the ball back, it's similar to the strikers where they get more involved in the build-up, so it is very nice and it is very enjoyable to use. Now on the left CDM, the more defensive minded midfielder, we have stay back while attacking and cover centre. We have him on cover centre because we need him to cover those central areas. We've already got two wider players on this side in Di Maria and Malacia, so we need him to cover the central areas so he is breaking up the play through the middle. And we also have him on stay back while attacking because we don't want this player to go forward. He's more defensive minded, so we need him to stay back. Now on the right CDM, the more box to box player, we have cover centre, and that is it. We have him on cover centre for the same reason as Jorginho. We don't need this player covering the wing as we've already got Chiesa and Cafu here, so we don't need him to do that. We need him to cover those central areas, and then we leave everything else alone because we don't want to restrict this player. We want him to do a bit of everything. We want him to attack and defend, which is why I suggested a high work rate if you can get it, because you're going to get the maximum contribution in attack and defense. But like if you're using Pogba like I am, he's high medium and he still works fine. So work rates are just something you should aim for, but don't worry too much if you can't get them. Now on the left back, my more technical fullback, I have balanced attack and overlap. The reason for this is, like I said, 4-2-2, quite a narrow formation, so sometimes we do want to get that extra width and extra support on the wing because sometimes playing through the middle can be a little bit too predictable, so you sometimes need that wider option. So on the more attacking player, I have balanced attack and overlap. This is so he's not afraid to go forward, and when he's he does go forward, he makes those overlapping runs to add extra width. This can really help with the width problem with this formation, and I do very much enjoy using this. On my right back, my more defensive fullback, I have stay back while attacking and overlap. This is so he stays back while default, so we always have 3 defenders back as well as that left CDM, so we've always got like 4 players back. And we also have him on overlap because let's say I do trigger a run forward with him, we want him to make those overlapping runs to add the extra width. If this feels a little bit too attacking for you guys, you could put both fullbacks on stay back while attacking, or even put another CDM on stay back while attacking, but I really enjoy using it how I use it. And yeah, as for the centre backs and goalkeeper, I just completely leave them alone. But yeah guys, they're my custom tactics and player instructions for the 4-2-2. If you guys have enjoyed or found this useful, I'd very much appreciate it if you could drop it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you are new so you never miss out on any videos like this one, and don't forget to turn on notifications so you are notified when a video is posted. And with all that aside guys, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will catch you all later. Peace.